What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Stunods podcast. I'm your host.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Stunods podcast. Dom and Joe, and here we go.
Are you kidding me?
What?
You really going to start this shit again?
What are you talking about?
You interrupted my intro.
I'm just doing the intro. It's in my contract.
All right, finish the intro then. Go ahead. Finish
What's going on? We have a lot of things to talk about today, and that's it.
All right, good. Let's get into it then. All right. Well, anyway, welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Joe DiNizio, and I'm joined by my co-host, Dominic Lampasona.
How
Today,
we doing?
we're going to be talking about obesity in America, why the rates keep rising, why studios keep making remakes, not originals, and movies that are timeless. So stay tuned. All right, Dom, how are we feeling?
Feeling pretty good.
Feeling pretty good, right?
Yep.
Going on vacation tomorrow. Going down to Wildwood, New Jersey. It's going to be a good time. Going to be a really good time.
We got to get you a tan.
Yeah, no, I'm very, very pasty.
A little pasty.
A little pasty.
Sorry.
I don't tan though. I get pink.
Well, that's good.
Pink and red.
Everybody likes pink.
Right. Yeah.
It's a manly color.
Yeah, sure. Not for the skin, but yeah, sure. Yeah. But just real quick, I want to just mention that at the time of filming this, we're a day away from DC fandom. And we're just ecstatic for it. There's going to be a lot of reveals, the Snyder Cut, a few video games from Rocksteady, Suicide Squad game, and there's a new Batman game coming, I believe. New trailers for Wonder Woman, The Flash. There's going to be a lot of good stuff, and our next episode, we're going to be covering a lot of what DC fandom has to offer, so stay tuned for that. So, Dom.
Yeah.
Let's get into our first topic, and we're going to be talking about obesity in America. A little bit more serious topic than what we're usually, used to talking about.
Not a bunch of goofballs this time.
Right. But I feel like this is a very serious kind of issue in America, and not for what you may think. So just real quick, Dom, I'm just going to ask you, why do you think the rates keep rising in America?
Well, I mean, I think it comes down to the reason why. It comes down to your financial status.
Okay.
Where I think that, it's just too expensive to want to eat healthy nowadays. Like if you go to like a farmer's market or produce line, like, you're trying to get free ranged eggs and, lettuce and, vegetables and everything, and it just adds up, instead of where you can go to McDonald's or Taco Bell, go on the dollar menu and feast like a freaking king, and then want to blow up the bathroom after. But
absolutely, yeah.
I think that's one of the main reasons.
Okay. Well, from what I did my research on this a little bit, and they say when it comes to an unhealthy diet versus a healthy diet, they say it costs $1.50 more a day to eat clean and healthy. So why is it that $1.50 more a day, it's not a lot of money, so why is it that these rates keep rising? And I have a few theories on why this is, becoming, an ongoing issue. So first I want to just, put a little disclaimer. I know that some people are thrust into situations in life and they have no choice but to just do what they have to do to live, you know what I mean? Which means that could mean eating unhealthy in certain cases, and to those people, I feel extremely horrible for, they're just in an unfortunate situation. But for people like me and you and our friends and family who, are in a situation to where they have a choice, here's my theory. So I think just as a society, we've kind of developed this on-the-run mentality where people think that there just isn't enough time in a day to take care of themselves, right? They have to take care of their jobs, they have to take care of family, whatever the case may be. And I think, fact of the matter, it's that it's easier to not work out and to run to McDonald's and eat like shit. It's easier. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just an easier, I feel it's a cop-out. You know what I mean? So... when you really just take a look at yourself and where you are with your health and where you are in life and your financial status, whatever the case may be, it comes down to whether or not you want to make yourself better. It's like anything else you do in life, whether it's your job, whether it's a podcast, whether it's, whatever the case may be, everything takes work, right? So if you want to be healthy, if you want to, look good, if you want to, work out, get strong, everything takes work, right? And I think for some people, they get into this mindset where they just get lazy. You know what I mean? They're thinking to themselves like, oh, well, why do I have to be healthy? Why do I have to, look impressive or look good for anyone? It's not so much looking good. It's just feeling good. It's being healthy. And, you want to live a long, healthy life, because I think if you're healthy and you feel good, you're going to enjoy what life has to offer even more so. You know what I mean? So that's one of my theories about it.
Well, I think it comes down to like want versus need. You know,
Sure.
you look at even just like you kind of made a good point. Like to eat healthy and to work on your physical being in terms of just, you know, trying to stay fit and everything, you need to do it to live longer, to have a healthier life. Like, it's not just because of aesthetic or to look good or be impressive. It's because your body needs this fuel. It needs the proper nutrition. It needs an hour or a half hour of working out, or just even walking around. You know, if you have a lunch break and you don't feel like you have time, just go outside and walk for 30 minutes, 40 minutes. Yeah. You know, go on phone calls. Everybody's working at home right now. Go on a phone call, take a conference call, and you walk around the neighborhood for an hour or so. Yeah, the human body was made to exercise and to move around. You know what I mean? You weren't made to sit down and not do anything. But it's also too, it's the want. It's where it's the desire. Right. And, you know, I think you're going to touch on it a little bit, where they want a certain look. Mm-hmm. They look at celebrities, look at what's all over the media, and you have a certain aesthetic you want to, I guess, impress upon. Right. And they don't realize the work behind it, and they get discouraged and they get lazy. Right. But they want to go to Taco Bell and they want to just sit on their ass and binge watch a Netflix show for 6 hours or so. Right. You know what I mean?
And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with taking a lazy Sunday and to sit on your ass and to watch Netflix for 6 hours and to maybe go out and get an unhealthy meal. That's fine. But like the other 6 days out of the week, what are you doing to make yourself better, to make yourself more healthy? You know what I mean? And it's that idea that how, when you look at advertisements for these brands, these clothing brands, or for, you see these crazy transformations like we talked about last week in Hollywood, and then somebody's like, yeah, I really want to, get better, and I want to, work out and get healthy, get shredded, whatever the case may be. And then they work out for, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and they see minimal to no results, and they get discouraged, and they don't want to keep going. I think that mindset is, one, it's very weak-minded, and some people just can't help that, and I understand. But two, look, you have to want just to be healthy. You know what I mean? You don't have to be shredded. You don't have to look like these, models or these celebrities. You don't have to look like that just to be healthy. You know what I mean? Right. So I think you're right. It comes down to want versus need. Yeah. And it's just an unfortunate thing that that we are just constantly being shoved in our faces these advertisements for these models and things like that. And also too, if you're watching TV, just regular basic cable, I feel like almost every advertisement, at least 75% of the advertisements you see is for fast food or a restaurant or something. Right. So in your head, you see it and it just looks so good. You're like, well, shit, I'm going to go out and get something.
And don't you notice too, I'm pretty sure this is like a fact, that when you're watching basic cable and you're seeing these commercials, the marketing is going to be pushed after dinner when people are sitting. They know the majority of America, or a majority of our society, is sitting down watching TV. Yeah. And they know that they can force these images and subliminal messages, whatever the hell goes on, these fast food things, and you're like, wow, I want that. And then you order up Domino's and with DoorDash within 30 minutes. Right.
Yeah, and that's
at your front door.
That's a big problem. I could tell you from straight up experience, like when the quarantine started and we couldn't go to the gym and everything like that. I was just sitting down, working 8 hours a day. Then after work, hop on X. Just very bored. And then when I get bored, I'm thinking like, wow, I'm bored. I'm hungry. Right. DoorDash and Uber Eats, let me tell you, is the easiest way to get the food that you want. It's a little bit more expensive, but the fact that you get to sit home and order delivery from fucking McDonald's, Chipotle, you don't have to go out and get anything. It was very easy, and I gained a decent amount of weight doing that. And when I was like, all right, you know what? And I got my gym equipment, all that stuff. I got my garage gym, whatever. I just like, I'm going to delete the apps, because if it's there, out of sight, out of mind, that kind of attitude, it's very easy. It's extremely easy. And I think that goes into my next reason to why obesity rates keep skyrocketing, is the sheer convenience now to go out and get fast food, Right. Let's just take the apps out of it, right? And I want to ask the viewers, right? Wherever you are currently living, listening to this podcast, evaluate your surroundings, and do you live within a 5 to 10 mile radius of a fast food establishment? And that could be a Dunkin' Donuts, it could be a Chipotle, McDonald's, whatever the case may be, right? the answer should be yes, right? And I'll bring it down even more. If you live in the area to where this podcast is being shot, and you obviously know where it's being shot, do you live within walking distance of a fast food establishment? The answer should be yes. And I think that's fucking pathetic. It's pathetic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
well, it's also too is like, all right, where we live, we have a Dunkin' Donuts,
McDonald's
on the same road.
Yeah. And a Wendy's.
Or 2 Dunkin' Donuts on the same road. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, 2 Dunkin' Donuts. We have a Wendy's. We have a McDonald's.
Within what, 3 miles?
I'd say even less.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I have a McDonald's walking distance from my house.
Right.
I'll get there in 2 minutes if I walk. It's
Yeah.
crazy. You know? So that's just the sheer convenience of eating unhealthy is just, well, astronomical.
If I come down 28 to your house, which
Right.
will take about 5 minutes, maybe
that.
even less.
Yeah.
I pass a Quick Check,
Mm-hmm.
Dunkin' Donuts,
Right. 7-Eleven.
Papa John's, 7-Eleven,
Wendy's.
Wendy's,
Rita's.
Rita's,
Let alone all the Chinese places
right?
that you would pass.
And then just a little bit past your house is another Dunkin' Donuts and,
And a
yeah,
McDonald's.
another McDonald's.
That's
and then you
crazy.
can just hop on 22 right there, and you're at Taco Bell in
Right.
3 minutes.
It's the sheer, and then even closer is a White Castle.
Right. Yeah.
And then there's a Burger King.
Yeah.
You know, just the sheer convenience.
But if you want to go to a Whole Foods, you know, how close is a Whole Foods to you?
Yeah, it's a good 15-minute drive, maybe.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Where it's
So-
more expensive to get.
Right.
And it's not accessible to majority of
Right.
society.
Right. So the convenience is definitely a big problem, and the advertisement, big problem, all that kind of things. But like my second theory, and this is a little more maybe a conspiracy type theory kind of thing. Just real quick, I just want to just share with you the numbers, right? So healthcare and pharmaceutical companies in 2019, the spending was over $3 trillion.
That's insane.
Just put that into perspective. If you had even $1 trillion, right, in your bank account, you, your kids, your grandkids, your great-grandkids, your great-great-grandkids, they can live a lavish lifestyle for a very, very long time.
Could be your kid Bobby, your little grandson,
Your brother Johnny, your auntie Carolyn, your uncle Mike. It's gonna be all these guys, right?
your Cracker Jack. Everybody.
Everybody is gonna live a lavish lifestyle with $1 trillion. So my theory behind this, right? Like the obese, if you're obese, right, like morbidly obese, you're unhealthy, right? And if you're unhealthy, pharmaceutical and healthcare companies are making an unbelievable amount of money. So why is it that there hasn't been advertisements for, you know, living a healthy lifestyle? Why isn't it that? Why is that not being shoved down our throats? You know what I mean? Why is it that we keep seeing these crazy ads and stuff like that? Because if the subliminal messaging and all these constant advertising is working and people are eating like shit and they're unhealthy, these companies are making money off of that. If you're unhealthy, they're making money, and
Right.
that's scary. They don't care about your well-being. They don't care.
I'm pretty sure insurance companies are starting to catch on that concept, I think, and they're trying to basically acquire more healthy individuals / families.
Right.
Where they know that, you know, there's more unhealthy people and there's more obese people that, you know, there's just too much money being shed to those families.
Yeah.
You know, so that's interesting too.
It's a scary thing to talk about, a scary thing to even think about, you know, that these companies that are supposed to be helping you get better, in reality, want you to be unwell. Well, yeah, be fat, but like just be unwell.
To be Chubby Johnny.
Chubby Johnny, yeah.
Eating donuts.
You know, and sorry to anyone named Johnny. We didn't, you know, it's just an expression, but yeah, I mean,
A
like,
box of donuts can go a long way for me.
it's just crazy, man. You know, you ever see Wall-E?
Yeah.
You know, you ever see how society turns out there?
Yeah.
They're sitting in these floating chairs, got TVs in front of them, and everyone's obese. You know what I mean?
I mean, think about where we're at right now in 2020.
yeah,
With just in terms of technology,
right.
you know.
It's
Again, you can go and order your breakfast, lunch, and dinner if you really wanted to,
Right.
and get it delivered right to your goddamn doorstep.
You could be extremely self-sufficient from your own home. You never even have to walk outside.
Right.
If you told yourself, I want to live inside my house for a year, not even step a foot outside of your house, you could easily do it.
Yep.
It'll be a little expensive to order out every night, every meal. You know what I mean? But still, it's possible, and it's a little weird.
Then you're gonna get from Rocky IV the robots.
Oh, like they make fun
Happy
of it.
birthday.
Happy birthday, Rocky. How they make fun of it on Family Guy.
Happy birthday, Paulie.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Happy birthday, Polly.
Oh my god.
Do what they do on Family Guy.
Oh, it's like it's like
Rocky's on the moon.
Oh no, he's like Rock, you can't go to Mars and fight the Martian. I gotta do what I gotta do. You can't go, Rock. There's no air. There's no air for him either. Hey, look what Rocky bought me with his money. And it's Paulie on a Segway and he smashes into the wall. Oh, that's a great episode.
Great
I
stuff.
love that. Well, I mean, speaking of Rocky, we're gonna move on to our next segment. And that's going to be timeless movies, right? Movies that are talked about now, that were talked about in the past, and will be talked about for generations to come, right? Pioneers, so to speak. Pioneers in film. So,
And the one thing I will, so before we start this,
Sure.
the what I perceive as a timeless movie / never-ending story comes from one of these books that I have. It's called The Anatomy of Storytelling, or
Okay.
The Anatomy of Story by John Truby.
Okay.
He was, really high up in the industry back in like the early 2000s. And anyway, he has a big chapter about the never-ending story, and the big takeaway about
Like the movie or just a never-ending story?
no, yeah, just what a never-ending story is.
Gotcha.
And how it's constantly rewatched, and how someone like us can just watch it today and then tomorrow and then just have that desire to keep on watching and also to experience new things.
Right.
And the big takeaway is that at the end of the movie, if the protagonist has a new reveal or new direction in life, that kind of gives you an emotional connection to that character and makes like the desire or the thrill to want to succeed further, and like
Right.
it makes you want to just go back and watch the story and watch the journey. It's just a motivating technique involved with it,
Right.
so
They're definitely out there.
yeah.
And we're going to go through our picks, but we're going to go through by genre, pretty much, right? So we're going to start off with horror. And I think if you're a horror movie fan, or if you're just a movie fan, you know this movie. It's The Exorcist. That movie will forever be one of the scariest movies of all time. And not only is it the scariest movie of all time, but there was a lot of things in that movie where they took things to the next level, right? They kind of pushed the envelope a little bit. Their use of practical effects in the film are very effective because obviously if you go practical, the film's just going to look more real, right? So that was just a big thing for The Exorcist that really just drove it home for me. I've only seen the movie once. That's all I need to see it. I just need to see it one time because whether you were scared from it or not, it scared the living shit out of me. So,
Yeah, I mean, I just looked it up. It came out in 1973.
yep.
So that's how many decades?
5.
4, 5?
It was coming on 5.
Yeah.
The movie's in 3 years, it'll be 50 years old.
And just like you said, it still scares the shit out of you.
So, 100%.
And,
And I think the craziest thing, if you look up like the background of it, they had a priest on set and stuff like that. A lot of the actors and people involved with the movie experienced like supernatural things happening around them. Now, that could have easily have been done for the hype around the movie, but I know for a fact that the main star, the one who plays Reagan in the film, Linda Blair, today is fucked up from that film. Like, she has a lot of PTSD. She still has nightmares from the film. Like, she is messed up.
Really?
Yes. And that right there just shows you the sheer, just the power behind the film itself and everything that went into it. Right. So definitely timeless.
Did you ever Wizard of Oz? You know that whole conspiracy behind that?
With the
hanging.
Yeah.
The guy in the background.
yeah,
or
you see
something.
like the shadow.
Yeah.
If you look in,
There's so many just bizarre.
right. And like the craziest thing about that is specifically, if you look further into like the remastered stuff like that, that is taken out. But if you look at the old original copies of the film, you could see the shadow.
Yeah, it's so strange.
And I think they said it was like a light hanging off like a wire or something like that. Like it fell off like a bracket and it was just hanging
not
there.
when it's just legs dangling there.
Yeah, but if you look at it, it literally looks like somebody is hanging, and
Right.
it's eerie. You know what I mean? So
it's creepy.
it's very creepy. So a lot of stuff not that, but The Exorcist, like a lot went into the behind the scenes of it. A lot of shit happened after the movie's released, and it even got a few sequels which weren't as successful or powerful as the first, but yeah, The Exorcist is definitely a timeless movie for sure in
Yeah,
the
I
horror
agree.
genre.
It's in my list too.
Good.
Next is comedy.
Comedy.
And for comedy, I'm going Ferris Bueller.
Easily.
Yeah.
I would 100% agree.
The reason why is because I think it was 1980.
Yeah, it was
something.
an 80s movie. I would say early 80s. Yeah.
I'm a big sucker for coming of age films, that genre,
Of course.
because everybody can relate to it, right? It doesn't matter what decade you grew up in.
Right.
There's so many different elements in these movies
Right.
that anybody can just grasp to.
Right.
And it's also it's another movie that still plays all the time.
Yep. Well, the movie was made in 1986, and the fact that even
1986.
yeah, the fact that even today it's still very entertaining.
Right.
And if
That's what I'm
it's-
trying to say. Like the
Right.
comedy of it still lives up to what our
Right.
sense of comedy is right now.
Right, but
You know.
but even if you take away the comedy elements of Ferris Bueller, it touches on a lot of other things. You know what I mean? Like the relationships in the movie are solid.
Right.
Just the acting, you could just tell like they had fun shooting the movie. You know what I mean? And when the actors are having fun, the viewers are having fun. You know
Right.
what I mean? So it's just a fun movie to watch itself.
Favorite scene all time is when he's at the parade.
Yes.
Singing
Classic.
Kiss and Shout.
Classic. Yeah, I would definitely agree with Ferris Bueller. I have here for my pick, I had The Big Lebowski. If you've seen The Big Lebowski, you know that I think it's absolutely hilarious. And it just goes down as one of those movies that will be talked about for years to come. You know what I mean? It's kind of gained like a cult following over the past few years.
Right.
You know? And I just love Jeff Bridges in that
Yeah.
movie. Like, he's just awesome.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay, so think about this. The Big Lebowski, and then look at Avengers Endgame, how they just basically made Thor.
Lebowski.
Yeah.
Exactly, right? Like Avengers Endgame, like
It's still,
Even-
still lasting
even-
on to 2019.
right. Even Tony Stark mentioned like, oh, like easy there, Lebowski,
Right.
you know, to Thor. It's just that right there just shows you like that it had an impact,
Right.
and it's continuing to have an impact today, which is that's why I had picked The Big Lebowski, and I love the movie itself. So, okay, so we're on the action genre now. You want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
You go first.
All right. My pick for an action film, hands down, The Dark Knight. Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight, to be exact. I think I've talked about it so many times already. The performances are unbelievable. The movie is extremely entertaining, especially for a comic book adaptation.
Right.
And not to mention the fact that it's a comic book movie that is number 4 on IMDb's list, top 250 films of all time. It's number 4.
Right.
You know, and I think beating that, number 1 Shawshank, number 2 is The Godfather, number 3 is Godfather Part 2, and then it's The Dark Knight.
You know, that might have been the first time too where we saw a character like the Joker.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, obviously you can't discredit Heath Ledger's performance. I
course
mean,
not.
he makes the movie, but just look at that character itself. I don't think a character like that, an antagonist, has been in a big blockbuster film like that before, and it's
Right.
caused that much anarchy within that, within that community involved in that world that was built.
Right.
You know, and also too, I mean, you can look back and obviously it's still a sequel, and if you're gonna look at the trilogy, where it fits in the trilogy, you look at where Batman begins, where Batman is established as the vigilante. He comes in, he's sweeping up the streets pretty much.
Right.
Swept up the streets.
Yeah.
Going into Dark Knight Rises, or
Dark
Dark
Knight.
Knight, and then the Joker comes in and completely, stirs it all up.
Yeah.
Which is
No, and he gives, the idea is the fact that he gives the protagonist, Batman, and Bruce Wayne, he gives him a run for his money.
right.
You know? And he's very smart, he's very cunning, and he's just very erratic, and just like, he's just chaotic, you know what I mean? Even just his performance is just chaotic. You
And
know?
the thing is, too, again, looking at the Joker, because I think the Joker is a big reason why that film was so successful critically and box office.
Yeah.
I think we talked about it before, but you can relate to the antagonist as well.
Yeah.
Is what sucks you in, because technically you're not really rooting against anybody.
Yeah.
If you understand where the antagonist or just the character's coming from in a film, you're already gonna melt into their mindset.
Right.
So that's my opinion on it. I mean, we've talked about it so much.
So many times. Like, we don't need to talk about it much more. So Dark Knight is definitely my pick for a timeless movie in the action genre.
It's interesting that we both have Christopher Nolan movies in our action.
Honestly, dude, I think all of Christopher Nolan's movies are going to be timeless.
Yeah. I mean, we're definitely making an episode.
Dedicated.
Either when Tenet comes out or before Tenet comes out.
Or when we see Tenet.
Or when we see
Because we're going to go see it.
But my action pick is Inception.
Of course. Great fucking movie.
Now, you can make the argument it's like a sci-fi, right? We don't have a sci-fi category right now.
Right.
But I'm going to relate it to the action genre and put it under there because it's a intellectual articulating story or concept that has never been done in a blockbuster setting.
Right.
It's never been so big of a movie with that type of storytelling.
Yeah.
You know, it deals with layers, it deals with dreams. It was rolling the dice on him, you know, with Warner Bros. Basically giving the green light to him. Obviously, he has Leo and that whole cast attached to it.
Right. Great cast.
But they had to believe in him, and obviously they did. And it was the right move. You know, I don't think you won't be seeing a box office hit like that in a while.
No.
Well, unless Tenet.
Right.
It turns out to be something like that.
Right.
But that's what I'm trying to compare it to.
Right. And you got to think the timing of Inception when it came out, right? Inception was between The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises.
Right. 2010.
Yeah, 2010. I think Dark Knight was 2008, and then Dark Knight Rises 2012.
Yeah.
So Inception was right in between those two films, and the movie, like you said, it just challenged. Well, not I shouldn't say challenges, but like it's just a very intriguing topic. You know, with the dreams, the layering of the dreams, things like that. But like it challenges the viewer, right? Because obviously you have to be on your toes while you're watching it, and it's just extremely entertaining,
Right.
You know, and all the performances are just incredible.
And that's the thing too, is like you see this big Hollywood formula, which we're going to talk about, you know, franchise versus originals.
Right.
And it completely just breaks the ground of it.
Yeah.
You know, you go into it not really, I mean, I don't remember seeing it in theaters, but I would imagine going into it, first time viewing it, you know, I guess have an idea of what it's about, but you can't, like, if you were to be like, hey, did you ever see the movie Inception? Like, no, you cannot explain to me the premise of it within 5 or 10 minutes.
Well, I mean, I could try and explain it, but for you to understand,
it's not going to justify the movie.
Well,
you can try to explain as much as you want.
Right.
Nothing is going to give you that experience without watching that movie.
But if you were going to try and explain it to somebody who hasn't seen it, you know, you can explain it to the best of your capability, but are they going to understand what you're talking about?
True.
Probably not.
Very
They need
true.
to see it for themselves, you know what I mean?
Which is why I liked how you say it challenges the viewers. Because,
easily.
Again, me as a filmmaker and as a writer, that is my goal, is to constantly lead an audience down a puzzle, you know, because you're intrigued the entire time rather than sticking to the Hollywood formula, watching this oversaturated, blowing up, same formula just going on.
Like, go on autopilot while you're watching it kind of thing.
Right, and you know what to expect, and it's like, okay, give me something original.
Right.
You know, and I think that's what Inception laid the grounds with.
Right.
You know, was be like, okay, a very intellectual concept like this can be a box office hit.
Extremely effective film. Absolutely. So, all right, so we got Dark Knight and Inception for our action picks. Now we're going to move on to thriller. And for my pick for thriller, I pick Silence of the Lambs. Now, I won't go too much into Silence of the Lambs. If you've seen the movie, you know how amazing it is. But I just want to read you the awards that it won. Right?
Right.
So this is in 92, Academy Awards. It won for Best Picture. Anthony Hopkins won for Best Actor in a Leading Role. Jodie Foster won for Best Actress in a Leading Role. Won for Best Directing. And it won for Best Writing. So that right there, that track record at the Academy Awards, you pretty much cleaned house for all the big ticket items, right? Like, to me, that's ultimate. That is an ultimate movie. You win for writing, directing, your actor and actresses win for Best Actor and Actress, and then you win for Best Picture.
Right.
How do you top that? You don't.
No.
That right there tells me that this movie will be talked about 50 years down the road.
Yeah.
And just, you know, and if you've seen it, you just know how amazing the film is. Anthony Hopkins is extremely gripping as a cannibal Hannibal Lecter. You know, and Jodie Foster does an extremely good job of succumbing to Hannibal's first of all, his cunningness, his cleverness, and just the manipulation behind it. You know, Jodie Foster plays this FBI agent who's supposed to be, you know, strong-willed and extremely, intelligent, and you just see the manipulation that Hannibal has on her, and it's intriguing to watch.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's awesome. It's a great movie, and that's my pick for thriller.
Okay, so my thriller pick is the classic Jaws.
Yeah,
Steven
can't beat it.
Spielberg's Jaws.
Can't beat it.
Now, going through film school,
Right.
I think I watched that movie 2 times, actually.
In your classes.
In my classes
Right.
to study the story analogy.
Right.
Now, the one big takeaway from Jaws, Steven Spielberg was 26 or 27
Wow.
when he comes out and makes this movie.
Yeah.
The biggest the start of blockbuster summer hits. Jaws, if
Yeah.
you look back, Jaws is what made what summer blockbusters are.
Right.
You know, and if you're not a big movie person, in the summer is when the big money makers basically come out.
Right. You got your superhero films, your your Tarantino films, your Nolan films, like that your big ticket movies come out.
And to me, Steven Spielberg is the godfather of cinema / blockbusters.
Right. He's a pioneer.
Because you think about when that movie came out, which was 1975, you can probably look at every movie since then to now, to present, and just, again, look at the formula of blockbusters. Again, what I'm saying is it's oversaturated. It's seen almost every movie, the formula. But when Steven Spielberg came out with Jaws, it was so original at that point. So he's basically the father of what a blockbuster movie is.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah, I would agree. And it's going to, right, talked a little bit about with The Exorcist, is the fact that Jaws uses practical effects.
Right, yeah.
Like it doesn't use, like at that point, there was no CGI, there was none of this crap. So it was just more believable because it just looked more real.
But that's the thing, too, with practical effects is now you can look at all right, we'll go to the prequel Star Wars.
Okay.
What is the visual reason why that movie gets bashed?
Oh, it's just CGI fest.
Yeah.
It's all CGI.
Now you look at it, it might have been great CGI work at that point, but you look at it now and it's like, God, this was terrible. Or you can look at just any movie, from 2000s
Right.
or, or like 2005 or something. Just the big visual effects movies. You can be like, all right, that's outdated already.
Yeah.
But you go and watch Jaws. You watch Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Where you just said...
you watch The Exorcist.
Exorcist.
Yeah.
Those movies are never visually gonna expire,
Right.
Because it's all practical effects.
yeah.
That's the reason why I love it, and that's again another reason why I love Christopher Nolan. Sorry.
Right, yeah, well,
Sorry, I
because
had to say that.
Nolan wants to utilize the practical effects more in his films,
Right.
which will make it timeless.
Right.
The more believable, more real his effects look, explosions,
And also
car
too, like
chases.
what he says is just the performance comes off 10 times better on set because you're not faking a green screen, you're not faking a shark coming at you, you're not
Right.
faking, a demon chick throwing up on you.
Right.
You're actually gonna experience it.
Right.
Like when they shot Interstellar.
Yeah.
Inception. They had when everything in the hallways like turning around because
Yeah.
at different levels.
Yeah.
They built that fucking set and
I
they're
know.
literally, turning it around. Everybody is on wires and they're
Yeah.
filming that.
And they're punching each
And
other.
you're getting genuine raw reactions out of it as the actors, and it pops and it's just you believe it.
Right. Absolutely. I would agree. I definitely agree with you there. 100%. Jaws, it's just a classic.
Easily.
Won't be beat. Right?
Show me the way to go home.
12 kids went into the water.
I'm tired
Two
and I
kids come out
wanna
of the
go to bed. Had a little drink about an hour ago. You know the song?
Yeah, you love the movie.
I love it.
All right.
Show me the way to go home. I'm tired and I wanna go to bed.
Yeah.
I had a little drink about an hour ago and it's gone right through my head. And the shark comes in and then everything, and then Quentin gets eaten.
Right. That's good.
That's my summary of Jaws. Let's go back to practical effects, right?
Yeah.
If you don't know, Steven Spielberg was he said that the main reason why there was so much suspense created in his film and his techniques were because the shark fucking broke majority of the time.
Yeah.
And when you see the shark, obviously, it's like, all right, you know, if a kid is watching it right now and they see it, like, oh my God, it's so fake. How do you think that's, you know, how do you think that's scary?
Right.
At the time, maybe it might have, you know, popped a little bit more, might have been more realistic because it just wasn't, you know, really seen in Hollywood, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But the way he didn't use the shark just made it more suspenseful because of just his techniques and his angles that he shot with,
Mm-hmm.
you know, zooming up on the legs with the music in the background, POV shots of the shark. Like it makes the audience create the visuals in their mind rather than having it so up front in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's
I get what you're saying.
it involves the audience a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know, that's like, what's the scariest thing? I mean, everybody's scared in the dark because you can't see it.
Right.
So your mind's just racing. Your imagination's the thing that freaks you out.
Right.
You know?
We're going to drama. My pick for drama, The Godfather. Now, before whoever's watching, you know, you both know we're Italian, right? And if
Hey, how
you're,
you doing?
and usually there's like a stereotype. If you're Italian, The Godfather's your flagship movie.
Right. Or Goodfellas.
Goodfellas. Throw that out the window. The Godfather, I could be Russian. The Godfather is one of the greatest films ever made. Period. Right? So, again, that movie wins Best Actor, Marlon Brando, Best Picture, and Best Adapted Screenplay. Movie came out in 1972, and without a doubt, one of the best movies I've ever seen. Ever. It's extremely long, but if you have the time, sit down, watch it. As a director, aspiring director, writer, The Godfather should be one of your, you know, cornerstones.
Well, you had it, so I wasn't going to pick it.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying, like, you know, I got to be one of your cornerstones as just a
Your
creator.
go-to. Right.
Right.
You have to respect it and understand why it's so good. Like, you
Right.
can watch a lot of these movies and, you know, maybe someone just won't like it for
Right.
some reason, but, like, give me a reason why you don't like it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing I always try to do now when I'm breaking down movies, you know, trying to just constantly write, is, okay, why do I like this scene? Why do I like this story?
Yeah.
And once you break it down like that, you start to, you know, respect the director and the filmmakers involved with it and
Absolutely.
their choices made.
Right. Has an all-star cast too, right? And every performance in that film is just gripping, and it is believable, and it's just all around. To me, I can watch The Godfather whenever it is on TV, and that's another thing when we were talking about timeless movies. My dad watches it all the time, right? My brother watches it all the time. My brother's 9 years older than I am, and I'm 23. Right, I watch it all the time, and you bet your ass my kids will at least see it once,
Right.
And if they like it or not, whatever. But, yeah, The Godfather is definitely my pick for drama. Absolutely,
So my drama is Rocky, 1976.
good pick.
It won Best Picture, Best Director, Best Editing, and was nominated for Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor, Best Supporting Actress, Best Original Screenplay, yada yada.
Oh yeah, I didn't even go into nominees for Godfather, but yeah, no, Rocky's got a good track record.
Now,
Was watching it the other day, actually.
I have a deep emotional connection with this because the Rocky franchise is one of the first franchises that made me fall in love with film. So thank you, Stallone. But I'll break down why I think it's really a never-ending story, and you can make the argument too,
Right.
that it can be in the sports category, which it is.
Yeah.
But if you take the sports element out of Rocky, my opinion, I think it's still a Rocky film. Like, it's still the same exact story, and it's still the same arc that the protagonist goes through.
Yeah.
You know, you can put Rocky as I don't know, the best sailor or something. That's a terrible analogy, but
Right.
you know, he has a certain desire, and it's not necessarily like you just take the boxing out of it, and it's just the journey he took, the emotional and physical journey that he went from nothing to almost everything.
Right.
You know, I think that's the thing that stands out.
Yeah.
Again, no visual effects. You know, you got to respect it. It was Stallone. It was his first movie, you know, and you know the story behind it.
Right.
Is that
getting it made, yeah.
Yeah, getting it made. I mean, he wrote the screenplay. I don't know how. It supposedly took him a really short time. He just grinded right after it.
Right.
And he was trying to market around, trying to sell it to everybody. And they're like, yeah, like, we like it. We're interested. We want to buy it. But he's like, nah, I'm going to star in it. And they're like, no.
Yeah.
Like, look at your face. Like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting out of here. But then he finally sold it. Take it to someone else. Take it to someone else, man. I'll do what y'all do. But, yeah, so then, I mean, he stuck to his guns. He sold it. And acted in it, started it, and it was the best movie of his entire life, as you can see.
Yeah. No, yeah. Rockies is an absolute classic. And I
But also, too,
hold a special place in everyone's heart.
You know, you could think about the franchise that went on and all the movies that come after it. But again, back to my point where what a never-ending story is. Think about the ending of the first Rocky.
Right.
He starts from nothing and is going against everything, Apollo Creed.
Right.
You know, they tie at the end.
Yeah, but he puts up a fight of his
He
life.
puts up a fight of his life, and it's just the thing that resonates at the end of that movie, where he's going to be once those credits stop.
Right.
Like, where that character's going to be.
Right.
You know, that's what that's what lives on.
Right.
Within an audience.
And I think what's so great about Rocky is the fact that, you know, he's the underdog the whole time. And at the end of the movie, he proves himself. He proves himself, but he doesn't win, right? So how does that make sense? How does someone prove himself but not win the fight? But that's what makes Rocky so effective. The fact that he doesn't win, but he proves himself.
Right.
You know, and it's that what you were saying before, how, you know, life kind of goes on, but you know for a fact that he's going to keep pushing and keep grinding until he wins.
Right.
And then Rocky 2 comes out, and he wins.
Right. And Rocky 3, Rocky 4, Rocky 5,
Creed
Rocky
1, Creed
99, Rocky in space, Rocky...
Rocky in space. Rocky versus the Martians.
Hey, what are you doing?
Rocky versus Darth Vader.
Hey, you got a breathing problem? You're gonna have a breathing problem after I'm done with you.
That's good. Moving on to the last genre, we have sports. Now,
We both have the same movie.
Rocky could be in
Rocky
sports.
could be, yeah.
But
It is, but...
technically, yes.
Yeah.
But I would say it's definitely a good pick for drama. And we left it up for this movie.
Right.
And it's The Sandlot.
Yep.
We were both baseball players, right? So automatically, movie has a special place in our heart. But I think the reason what makes The Sandlot so timeless is not only does it capture or, you know, kind of grab everyone's attentions and hearts, but look at your parents, right? Look at your father. He probably had the same experience as the kids in The Sandlot, right? Going to a backfield somewhere, you know, dirt field, playing baseball with his friends all day long, and you know, if they lost a baseball, it was like the end of the world kind of thing. You know what I mean? So
There's one baseball they used.
one baseball, exactly, right? So I think for that reason, right, like it just captures the hearts of your parents. It captures your hearts because the movie just has a lot of heart in itself, right? And I think if I were to show it to my kids, even though the movie takes place, I think in the 1960s, if I'm not mistaken, 1950s, 1960s.
Probably, yeah, 50s or 60s.
50s or 60s, right? I still think my kids would get enjoyment out of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's just that just shows you like that the movie is timeless, right?
Right.
Even kids nowadays, right? Kids that are younger than we are, kids that are in middle school, high school, you know, if they've seen The Sandlot, they love The Sandlot.
Right.
What's not to like about the movie?
Again, goes back to what I was saying about Ferris Bueller, the coming of age film that every person, you know, every guy can just go back and relate to. I would imagine they had some type of, you know, childhood like that going around.
Sure.
With the kids around the neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know, getting all dirty up and
Yeah. Great
scrapes
movie.
from the streets and everything. you know?
Right. It's just, The Sandlot goes down to me as one of the best sports movies of all time.
And it's such a comfort film too.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
it's one of those movies where if it's on TV, I'm watching it.
Right.
I'm watching every time it's on.
Yeah.
It's just, to me, that's just one of those movies. So, like, Sandlot will go down in history as one of the best heartfelt films of all time. It's got a lot of heart, you know what I mean? And it's fun, man. Just a good time. Like, you will not, like, there's no bad vibes in The Sandlot.
Yep.
You're watching that movie, and you're just like, wow, I love this.
You're watching
I love it.
Squints making moves.
Oh, I'm the lifeguard.
Fucking guy.
Wendy Peppercorn. I have,
Man,
you know, I
stud.
got a shirt in high school from Routine Baseball.
I'm
and it
wearing
said-
routine right now.
Are
actually.
you?
Yeah.
Oh, good shit. Is that? Oh, it's the Clint Eastwood shirt, right?
Eastwood shirt, yeah.
You love that. You love that. Clint Eastwood. But I had one that
Awesome
said
shirt.
Wendy Peppercorn is a dime.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just that just goes to show you right there. Like, you know, even clothing brands are like, you know, let's reference the Sandlot, you know, and it's just great movie. Great fucking movie.
Great.
I was
Great
actually
movie.
Squints for Halloween one year.
You were.
And my girlfriend was Wendy Peppercorn.
There you go.
There you go.
So you pulled moves on her, I would imagine.
Didn't work though.
Ah, damn it.
All right.
Better luck next time, kid.
Yeah, better luck next time. Follow your heart, kid. Remember. Or what is it? Heroes get remembered, but legends never die. Take that one to the bank.
Cha-ching.
You know, and I think a movie like The Sandlot could never be remade.
No.
And that brings us...
Let's think about that, though.
Okay.
All these movies we just listed.
Right.
Can you remake them?
No.
All right. If someone were to remake them, would they live up to what they
No.
are? No,
No.
not even close.
I don't even think it would work.
No. Can't remake Jaws. You
No.
cannot touch that.
No.
Cannot touch The Godfather.
Nope.
What else? You can't touch. Well, The Exorcist. I mean,
It's
I would
actually
say never.
they're in talks to get it
Yeah,
remade.
but I can see that being remade.
right.
What are the other ones we have?
Can't remake Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Can't remake The Dark Knight. Can't remake The Big Lebowski.
Can't remake Silence of the... Like, these movies should not be remade. Leave them as they are. Do not taint the reputation.
Speaking of
remakes, this brings us to our next topic. Why are studios clinging to remaking old franchises rather than developing original concepts into film? I think it's very simple. It's a very simple reason for why they're doing it. They see, okay, well, let's remake a movie that people know the name.
Right.
People can get comfortable behind it, and
Right.
they'll pay to see it. Right? So you thought. There's a couple remakes that have flopped extremely hard at the box office. You know, one of them off the top of my head is the Ghostbusters remake.
Right.
That pissed me off. Don't touch Ghostbusters. Right? It was made however many years ago. I honestly think that could be a timeless film. Don't touch the Ghostbusters. Leave it as it is. Right? And what do? They decided to remake it, and it was dog shit. That off the top of my head, that's one of the remakes that I did not like.
That's just how studios are operating nowadays. They're just doing what's comfortable or what the audience is comfortable with, as you said.
Such a
and they're just relying
cop-out.
on the paycheck. It's a cop out.
It's such a cop-out.
So now I have a whole chart here from Box Office Mojo. It's 2019 worldwide box office.
Okay.
It's the top 10 gross films.
Right.
So
This is for last year.
this is for 2019.
Gotcha.
I'm going to go 1 to 10.
Got it.
1, Avengers Endgame. 2, The Lion King. 3, Frozen 2. 4, Spider-Man Far From Home. 5, Captain Marvel. 6, Joker. 7, Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. 8, Toy Story 4. 9, Aladdin. 10, Jumanji, Next Level. What do you see that is a complete common element within these top 10 grossed films?
Sequels.
Yep.
And remakes.
Yep.
Live action remakes of because the Disney ones that are in there.
But it's all the big studios that are just
Right.
shelling out the money because they know that the return that they're going to get. Which again, we've said it in the past. Like, it's not. Obviously, I would do it.
Well,
You
yeah.
know, money looks good, but at the same time, it's like, you know, how far are you going to push some of this stuff?
Right.
You know, like Toy Story 4. I don't know. I think
I
we
saw
talked about it
I
a little
saw
bit.
Toy Story 4, you know, and it just doesn't live up to the first 3. I think they should have stopped, in my personal opinion. It was good, but it wasn't anything like gripping.
Right.
You know, like Toy Story 3 actually made me cry a little bit. Toy Story 4
Because it was
I
supposed to
like,
be
eh.
the end of a legendary series that
and
they had going on, a
ended
trilogy.
it perfectly. Why continue it
Right.
on? But whatever the case may be, it made a lot of money at the
And let's
box
see.
office. Studios happy.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6, 7. 7 out of the 10 top films are Disney or owned by Disney.
Right.
And I didn't include Far From Home because I'm pretty sure
It's Sony. Yeah, it's Sony. Crazy.
It's just absolutely ridiculous.
It's insane. Bonkers, if you
So
ask
let's
me.
go here. I'm going to try to find one that's like their original. 1917
Yeah.
at 23.
Mm-hmm.
24 is Once Upon a Time.
That's an original.
That's an original. 28 is Knives Out.
That's an
30 is
original.
Parasite.
Mhm.
31 is Us. 34 is Glass, which is
sequel.
branch. Yeah, it's a sequel. Ford vs Ferrari 38. So I mean, but that's going down really far.
Right, but not they don't break top 10.
Right.
So obviously, studio sees a formula. Sequels and remakes are
Let's-
obviously cleaning house.
Okay.
Top 10,
Let's see.
making money.
So the top 5 was Captain Marvel.
Trash movie, but whatever.
Worldwide, it made $1.1 billion dollars. Now I'm gonna look up Inception. Inception made worldwide $831 million.
That's marginally less.
Yeah.
That's a joke. If you've and I kind of ranted about this last night in our friend group chat about Captain Marvel. I won't get into it. I wasn't a fan of Captain Marvel. I'll be completely honest. And if you try and sit there and tell me that Captain Marvel is a better film than Inception, I think I might roundhouse kick you in the jaw.
I mean, you definitely can't compare the two.
You can't
if
compare
you just
the
look
two,
at the
but-
numbers,
But why is it that a movie like Captain Marvel is going to make more money than a movie like Inception? Right?
because it's attached to
Marvel.
Yeah.
And that, but still though.
But just look at the value of the movie.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't even fucking compare.
No, not at all.
Not even close. Let's see like where it would stand, like what is at where Inception was. So Inception, if it came out in 2019 and made the same numbers, it would be top 10
Right.
in 2019.
Right.
Which isn't terrible.
Not at all.
But that's 1 out of 10 films. That's the original movie.
Right.
You know, I
No,
see
I
something
agree.
wrong with that. It's just like, it's the same freaking formula.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to see it anymore.
Well, yeah,
It's at a time where it change it up.
and we've talked about it too on a previous episode, where it's just like this oversaturated formula, and how it's like, it feels almost processed, and like it's kind of
Process. That's a great word.
shoved down your throat kind of thing. But it's just like, okay, so like those are sequels and remakes. They did extremely well. Avengers Endgame was fucking incredible.
Right.
I saw Lion King. I actually did really enjoy it. The first one still holds a special place in my heart.
Right.
Can't be beat. Aladdin was actually very good. But there's movies that just don't have any business being remade.
Okay, so look at Star Wars.
Right.
Look at what they're doing with Indiana Jones, with Blade Runner,
Right.
Rocky with Creed.
Sequels, though.
Yeah, they're sequels, but it's just like extensions of, original movies.
Yeah.
It's just how far can you really take it? It's like watching any type of TV series out there. Like,
Right.
it's at a point where you gotta leave off the fans and the audiences that, fell in love with these characters and these worlds.
Right.
Like, leave them off with wanting more to taste. Like, when you just
Yeah.
keep feeding them, they're not gonna want any more. Like, how far can you really take all that?
And you know
shit?
who I blame for all this?
Who?
Marvel. Right? Because Marvel kind of started this whole world building, this universe
Right.
type, like the Marvel verse and shit like that.
Right.
Right? So branched off from that, Star Wars starts a new trilogy. And they're branching off into new trilogies. So now you have a Star Wars universe. If you look at Spider-Man, right? Into the Spider-Verse, right? Now there's a Spider-Verse and stuff like that. And they're going to branch off into that. Apparently Venom and stuff, like the new Venom, is going to touch on the multiverse and stuff and whatnot. Indiana Jones, right? That's going to be continued on. That's going to be a universe of its own. You can call it the Jonesyverse or something like that.
Right.
Rocky now has its own fucking thing, right? So you have Rocky Balboa and his 6 movies. Now you have Creed. I'm sure they're going to make another Creed. There's going to be 3 of them. And then I think they're thinking about doing a Drago spin-off. So now you have a Rocky verse. It's like this crazy, like, just like, oh, let's branch it off this way. Let's branch it off that way kind of thing. It's just like, and I blame Marvel. Because with their first phase, they had your flagship Avengers, Captain America, your Iron Man, your Hulk, that kind of thing. And then it went into Guardians of the Galaxy. And then it went into Black Panther. And then it went into all these other movies, Doctor Strange. And now they come in. Right? And then you have your second Avengers, your Civil War, then you got your Avengers Infinity War, yada, yada, yada. It's just this crazy. And I blame, it's Marvel's fault. Because they did their world building, very successful at it. I was very entertained by a lot of the spin-off films and stuff like that. But it's Marvel's fault.
But that's also the thing that made Marvel.
Yeah, no, 100%.
That's the thing that made Marvel Studios, in my opinion, was because it intertwines all these, solo movies and these team-up movies, and it was just awesome to see in a cinematic event or a cinematic experience.
Right.
But I know what you mean, though. They started off, so everybody's going to follow the trend and continue on with it.
obviously sequels will keep making money because, you know, if you love the first one and they make a second one, you're obviously going to see it if you're a fan of the first. So that's my 2 cents on remakes.
Yeah, the thing is too is with remakes, like, you know, we're looking at it as in a negative way,
Right.
but think about the positives too of it, right? So now we can look at Batman or Joker. You can see how there's just different perspectives. There's different styles that are created within one character, which is very interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's why, like, you'll go see the Joker. That's why you'll go see Robert Pattinson's Joker. Or, Robert Pattinson's Batman.
Right.
You know, just different adaptations of the character, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. You know, but I think like certain things can work, right? Like when it comes to superheroes, like superheroes have been around for a long time. You know, just starting off with comics. They've been around for a long time. There's a bunch of different reiterations of characters within comics, you know, and I think the translation to film, I think it works, right? Like you can do different iterations of Batman and Superman and all that kind of stuff, and people will still pay to see it, right? Just like if they did a different iteration in the comics, people would pay to buy and read those comics. It's kind of like the same thing, almost, in my opinion.
So, I'm on beta.cafemom.com.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck this is. But it's listed like 22 remakes that basically bombed, and RoboCop, the recent one, whenever that came out.
Yeah.
And the budget was 100 mil and domestically earned 58.6 million. And it says fingers were pointed when it came time to take the blame for the film's failure. And it was the director said, "I didn't have the creative freedom I needed. I spent 90% of the time fighting."
Yeah.
It made me realize that making a studio movie is not the same as making a film. I will make $1 million. I'll make 1 million times. I will think 1 million times before getting involved in another production of that size again.
Right.
And that's interesting too, with studios remaking and just having so much influence on franchises, is that it takes away from the filmmaker's vision.
Right.
You know, we've talked about it a lot, but you know, there's just so many hands in the mud with you, and you know, it's at a point like, do you really? Would you really want to pursue something as a filmmaker, as an artist, when you know your name is the director? It's supposed to be your film, but the
best analogy I can make for that, it's like, let's say the studio is one of your friends, right? And that friend is loaning you $100, right? And you're going to use that $100, but me, if I'm loaning you $100, I'm going to be like, okay, like $100 is a decent amount of money. Like, I'm going to feel a little antsy about it. You know, and if I find out you're spending that $100 on like hookers and shit, like I'm going to be pissed. You know, so the studio, when they have $100 million budget and the director is making that film, it's like, okay, you're using our money, but we should have a say, kind of thing.
Right.
Instead of trusting the creator, they're like, okay, we were going to have some hands on this because this is a lot of fucking money. You know what I mean? So that's where you run into creative differences when it comes to big studio productions.
Right.
It's a lot of money that you're playing around with. And they want to make sure you're not going to fuck it up. But I'd say probably 80% of the time, the studio's the one responsible for fucking the film up. Trust your creators, guys. Trust your creators.
If you have a filmmaker like Scorsese, Tarantino, you know, they have a very specific vision.
Right.
From the start of it, in Tarantino's case, just, you know, as a writer-director, he has a specific vision from that blank page.
Right.
Since page one. You know what I mean? Like, you got to trust that, because no one will believe in that project more than that.
Yeah.
Than that director.
Absolutely. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you for tuning into this week's pod. Let us know what movies you consider to be timeless in the comments down below. Please remember to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and to follow us on Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Anchor FM. We also would like to do a quick shout out to one of our diehard fans, Mr. Rob Lawler.
Robbie.
The man listens to every single pod.
Yes, he does.
And we are sincerely grateful from the bottom of our hearts. Rob, we love you. Thank you so much. And as always, tuning off.
Signing off.
Stopping off. Is that it? We done?
I can never come up with something.
Getting
Show me the way to go home. I'm tired.